In finding a lasting solution to the loud groans of the Nigerian masses on the nation's economic crunch, the federal government of Nigeria flags off an ICT roadmap to create a digital economy with the aim of stimulating economic growth. Over 2 years into the President Buhari administration, isn't the ICT redemption plan rather slow and sloppy? It's question time. Welcome to the program. I'm Benga Ashiru. You may also join in this conversation by sending us your comments on our various social media platforms showing on your screen. With incessant cyber attacks globally, Nigeria is also caught in this web. Today, Nigeria has lost up to $450 million to cyber crimes. What is the immediate and long-term solution to this cybersecurity threat? In putting this into perspective, Channels TV crew caught up with the Nigeria's Communications Minister, Adebayo Shittu. We began by bringing the federal government's ICT roadmap under close scrutiny. Honorable Minister of Communications, Barrister Adebayo Shittu, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Question Time.
It's my pleasure being here.
Now, taking our point of departure, let's start from reviewing the ICT roadmap that was recently approved by the Federal Executive Council for 2017 to 2020. What's the main thrust of this roadmap?
Well, the main thrust, in summary, is to ensure that Nigeria has a roadmap or has a pathway or a trajectory to follow in ensuring that Nigeria gets very quickly onto the ICT or digitization revolution sweeping across the country. When I came on board about 17 months ago, I knew I was a complete novice in the ICT sector. I needed to be properly educated about what it implied and the connections and the relevance of it to national development. So I assembled about 400 stakeholders and experts from within government and from the public sector, including some from overseas countries, to come and brainstorm and assess the state of ICT in Nigeria with a view to knowing in areas of deficiencies and then profiling solutions.
Now, building on your cycle of intellectual strategy, now, you promised the nation that you will be stimulating economic growth through industrial revolution of the ICT. 3 years after now, the country is still in recession. Isn't this rather slow and slow?
Well, let me say this, the country is getting out of recession already. I mean, it is.
So how much of the contribution from the ICT are we getting in the growth of the economic growth?
For the first time, ICT has contributed more than 10% of the gross domestic product in Nigeria. That is one. Secondly, ICT now provides more jobs than petroleum, which provides about almost 90% of our gross domestic product. So in those two areas, we would say that ICT has contributed immensely.
How many jobs have been created with the ICT innovation?
It will be difficult to calculate because jobs are being created not only within government, but essentially within the private sector. What the duty of the ministry or the duty of government is to ensure that an environment that is conducive to the growth of ICT is laid. I believe we have done just that through regulatory measures. NCC is doing its job appropriately and is stimulating a lot of growth and greater foreign direct investment into the telecoms industry. Again, NITDA is ensuring its regulatory functions are properly in place. For instance, today, any contract about bringing in ICT hardware must pass through the test of NITDA to regulate and ensure that only quality products and devices are brought into the country. But I believe that so far so good. We are not relenting on ours, and I believe that ICT would take us to the promised land.
When you talk of promised land now, it's important we look at the timeline. You have an ICT roadmap that drives from 2017 to 2020, and that is even beyond your tenure of office. So technically, we are looking at a feasibility of 3-year span with a huge deficit in the power sector, because most of the ICT innovations is going to be reliant on the power sector. How do you intend to achieve that?
Well, we are working very hard. For instance, I mean, the arm of government which is in charge of ensuring stability in the power supply is in, the utmost by diversifying the sources of power. Now we are talking of a lot of, mixed supply of power, including solar energy, including thermal energy, including even wind energy. A lot is being done in that regard. Coming home to the ICT sector itself, I am happy to say that for instance, NICOMSAT is being patronized even by foreign companies now, such that government, it assists, e-governance. What is e-governance? E-governance is connecting all of government offices and all of government information systems, into one whole, unified system and universal system, whereby anybody in any part of this country can link up and get information about governance and also, send feedback. Again, I want to reemphasize that we are looking for funding because even though the China Exim Bank wants to finance it, but government is now looking in the direction of partnership from the private sector. Private sector money being invested in this area so that that project can be jointly run as a PPP, basis.
Okay,
Again,
we'll still look more into that. But when we look at central to your ICT roadmap is the challenge of growing the broadband internet markets. So, how do you intend to?
again, we are
to
looking
drive
for foreign exchange. You see, we have this philosophy in government. It's been old, or of course, that government has no business in business.